Good afternoon, everybody. Just letting everybody in.
Good
Hope everybody's having a
afternoon.
good day. Hello, Namish. How are you?
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste indeed. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday so far.
Yes.
We'll get started here in a couple minutes, but we'll let the room live in the dream. Okay. All right, baby. Are you sure about that? I'm sensing some sarcasm, perhaps.
You
No.
know what it's like with toddlers in the
Yes,
house.
that's why. Yes, yes, the dream that can be a nightmare just as quickly as it can be a dream. The pendulum between the dream and the nightmare. One little look and it's a dream, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Oh, this good, great group of folks coming in. Love to see it. Give it another maybe about 2 minutes. I like to start at three after, give a little grace period. Susanna, your Zoom says Lisa. I was like, Lisa, that's what Lisa is that? I don't know. And I'm like, oh, that's Susanna.
I don't know why it's doing that. So I've been using the same Lisa's account, and I guess it joined through
Drew, yeah.
Lisa's account. But anyway, great seeing everybody. I'll change the name.
And now I understand why I couldn't log in. So I logged in with my
Ah,
personal email, but we're all good. Nice to see you guys.
I
No,
can
no,
step out, Lisa.
stay with me. You're good. You can be me. No problem.
yes.
I'm so sad with Susanna. I
I
didn't
was trying
receive
to fool you.
invitation. I didn't receive the invitation for you. No.
Really? But I just sent it.
Yeah.
I just sent a
Mm-mm.
reminder.
A reminder,
Mm.
yes, but not the invitation.
The first one. Okay. We'll check on that. Thank you. Thank you, Solani, for putting me in the middle.
No, the
No,
meeting hasn't officially
you
started,
don't,
so
yeah, you
Oh,
don't send
good. Oh,
that.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's listening.
it is being live streamed to the entire world right now, but that's a different story. So
Can you see my face? How
no,
red it got?
it's like we have so many boxes, it's so small you can't quite see.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're protected there. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, it's 3 minutes after the half hour, 3:33. And so we'll get rolling. And first of all, just thank you everybody for joining. Just taking a quick moment that Community Council has been a part of the Center for Digital Equity, previously Digital Charlotte, for over 10 years. And when we first started, I was thinking back, partially because I'm stepping back into the role of helping sort of MC this. That was one of my first jobs 11 years ago. And we used to host this conversation bi-weekly. And so I know our cadence has shifted as the work has changed and whatnot. One, I'm thankful we don't do it biweekly anymore because that was a lift. It was different back then when we were creating some of the newness that exists. But super excited to be back here in this spot with you all, and excited for our conversation today. And so, thanks everyone for making time. If you want to use the chat to introduce your name and organization, feel free. I know that it looks I can see just a small bit of my screen because I got some other windows up, but it looks like we've got a pretty healthy attendance list today, so I'm excited about that. So first and foremost, thanks y'all for making time. We are going to do a couple of things today. Let's see and make sure I'm not going to get off script too quickly.
And while Bruce is checking that script, y'all, you are going to hear an overtone of us beginning the recording. Thank you.
There we go. Okay. It's official now. Okay. Now Zulani, we can't say anything else about Susanna since we're recording now. So other than nice things. We're going to do a couple things today. First, I'm going to spend a few minutes giving you an overview of our new strategic plan and really just super excited. Obviously, we've been working on this, and y'all might be hearing this for the first time. So you might not land at the end of this call as excited as I am right now, but hopefully over time we'll get you there. And I'm excited to have you help shape this chapter because as everything we do is a collective impact, you are obviously all part of that. So I'm going to do like a quick kind of like teaser introduction, and then we're going to hear from three partners. So I'm very excited to have Annette Taylor, Deputy Secretary for the Broadband and Digital Opportunity Office, who's joining us today. Thanks, Annette, for making time. And then we also have Shauna Edson from Senior Policy Manager from the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. I should slow down and say my words. Shauna, I've actually known Shauna for a long time back when she was at Salt Lake Library. And Shauna is actually, I think, and she can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see her square yet. Oh, there she is. Shauna was also at the creation of one of the country's first digital navigator networks out of the Salt Lake City Library, if I'm not mistaken. Do I get a little head nod? Is that fair to say? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, good,
the
good. I know
pilot.
we were sort of both at the jump in our two cities, but now she's at National Digital Inclusion Alliance, and we're excited to hear an update from her. And then third, in that update section, we will hear from Sarah Fortner, the Executive Director of Caterpillar Ministries. Sarah is part of our Connect Tech program, and she's going to share. So we'll have national, state, and sort of a local perspective and some updates. And then we'll spend the majority of the time, if you're like to be as precise as I try to be, which is usually just an attempt and never actually reality, but around 4:10, we will switch to go deep into the strategic plan overview, and our Deputy Director, Natalie Bettenker, which you all know, will help lead us through that section. So that sound good for everybody? Maybe a little head nod, a little thumbs up, a little energy this afternoon. All right, awesome. I'm especially excited because I head on vacation almost as soon as this call is over. So I might be bringing a little bit extra vacation energy today. And so combined with my excitement for sharing the plan. So I want to, oh, I love it. All the thumbs up. This is great. So today's really about two things for us, honoring what the last 5 years have built and opening the next chapter of how this work needs to evolve. Uh, we are completing the end of our 5 year strategic plan that really kicked off at the intersection of the kind of the creation of the CDE in its current form and a major investment through the Mayor's Racial Equity Initiative as one of the four key pillars of that initiative. And the 5 year plan that we're currently ending, that was the sort of genesis of the moment when that plan was created. Some of you have been in this work for years, and some of you may be newer to the conversation. And my goal over this next couple of minutes is to give you a clear sense of where we've been and why we're shifting and what to listen for in the deeper preview. So our existing plan helped build the real momentum, relationships, and progress. It gave us a foundation we can now build from and not walk away from. You can review all of these public reporting, both the mid-year and annual impact on our website, detailed progress happening across the ecosystem and within dozens of organizations. So even though we say, the annual report or the mid-year report that you'll see, this report encapsulates more than just the work of the CDE. It encapsulates as much as we could include from the regional partners and our local partners who are doing this work. And so it's a collection of stories and effort made by many more. I just want to make sure we acknowledge everyone who's been a part of that. In just over a month, we'll be sharing a special edition of our annual report that closes out not only this fiscal year, but our 5 year strategic plan window that we are moving on from. And so you'll see that coming out. But to set the stage for the conversation about our strategic plan, I want to do a quick screen share. And I'm gonna slide over here and make sure my settings are right and jump to share my screen. And we will share, get to the right tab first. So overlay. There we go. Let's see, this should be it. Okay. And if I click present, Let's see, Meredith, I see your face. Do you see the timeline? Or Susanna, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, okay, good. Awesome. Okay, sweet. Thanks. Um, okay, so this is a timeline of our strategic planning process. And again, if this is your first moment coming to the community council or you're, been here through the whole time, either way, we just want to do some level setting about our process, just to make sure everybody kind of understands how we got here, at least in a high level. So back in October, we launched an RFP for a strategic planning consultant. And we're fortunate enough through a process, through actually some quality people participated in the RFP and sent proposals. But one really stood out, and let's see, is Noah here? Do we see Noah? Well, Jabian, which is a firm that operates here in Charlotte, and in particular Noah Cotton, who many of you may know. Noah has been involved in this work for many of years. Their application stood out, and their proposal stood out, and we were fortunate enough to select them to support us during this process. And so we might hear Noah's name come up again, and I think he's joining us today. And so we'll give a lot of kudos to Noah for his support during this process. So. Then in December, we kicked off with our discovery. And in January, we shared with Noah a list of names for stakeholder interviews. And I can't remember the exact count of interviews that we did, but there were several interviews that Noah and team conducted with partners, community-based organizations, our funders, to really start to kind of understand, where we've been and where we should go. In February, we held a series of internal workshops with our team to do a similar sort of question with them and response, understand where we've been, what's working, what's not working, and which led us to our March timeframe here, where we shared a survey with all of you and our broader community for input on the process. So we were data collecting at this point, right? Lots of feedback, lots of input, lots of different opinions and perspectives, as you can all imagine, because we're all independent humans. And through April and May began to sort of synthesize through that information, see, what were the gaps, what were the themes, what was bubbling up to the top. And what direction were we going to go, right? I think those of you that have been anywhere near this work, which is most of you on this call, understand there's a lot of shifting ground. There's a lot of funding changes, there's a lot of other things at play here, and so there was a fairly wide open landscape in terms of direction here to go. That leads us to today. I believe June is the last thing. No, there's one more. Oh, yeah, July. That leads us to today, our community council and the open comment period. So when we've finished the time today, in the follow-up, you will receive an email with the summary of the meeting, along with a link to provide a comment on the plan. So today there'll be a few moments for dialogue, but acknowledging we're really trying to share information today, minus our partner updates. And then the comment period is a really important process for us, a really important moment for all of us. And this is really where you have an opportunity to sort of, let us have it, is a nice way to say it, right? If you have things, opinions, perspectives, both good and bad, where you see yourself in the work, where you think we should shift, and how you think it might impact all of us, we want to hear from you, right? That's sort of the last opportunity in this phase to provide feedback. And then based on our governance documents and our process, that will lead us to July, which is where we always ratify that strategic plan through a voting process, and then it becomes the official plan for the CDE for our next 3 years. And so that's a timeline on, where we've been and where we've gone from here. Shout out to AJ for putting this together, this slide together in rapid speed. So thanks, AJ, for helping give us a visual here to do that. Okay, stop share, come back to my notes. So I think the thing that I really want to land in this first opening section is a couple more things here, and then we'll hear from our partners, is, this idea that digital equity is no longer only about getting people connected online. Man, this is the line I'm the most uncomfortable with, but I'm going to go for it because I've committed to saying the thing. If you've known the three-legged stool, I'm here to say it's dead. The three-legged stool is dead. And that's maybe not the right phrase, but that's the one that I think is the clickbait headline for today. It's now more about whether people can fully participate in work, health, and civic life and everyday systems in a digital world that keeps changing. And here's the key: with confidence and agency. At the same time as the funding is tighter and the environment is less predictable, right? This is really important for us, and this is why the next strategy is not just about doing more programs, it's about becoming more intentional about the systems we are building around those programs. And you're going to hear the introduction of a phrase that I'm not going to go great into detail yet because it's going to be what we'll spend the back half on, but we're really thinking about this framework called the Digital Opportunity Operating System, or do.OS. The do.OS framework, which you're going to hear more about later, is our way of connecting the work more clearly so that it's not just a collection of separate activities, but more a coherent operating system for a regional digital equity community. We're all still very committed to practical impact, but we're also stepping more fully into a connective role across a larger geography, helping partners, systems, and institutions work in a more aligned way. The new plan is organized around three big moves: increasing impact by evolving the Carolinas Digital Opportunity Operating System. Do.OS is what we're sort of calling it. Strengthening the ecosystem by broadcasting that model more broadly and building growth so that the work can scale and last. And that will all make sense later. So these are teasers, admittedly. This is also about sharper execution, clearer priorities, better measures, and more disciplined way to learn and adjust as conditions change. So I've given you like a very high level. You like, okay, like that kind of, I get those words, but it's the depth and more opportunity to share on what that means, the layers of the framework, the way that some of the materials you'll see today are being developed, and how you all show up in that framework is obviously very important, and how then we're moving forward and how that looks in our strategic plan. But first, we want to hear from some partners. And let me get back to my notes to make sure I have them in order. We're going to start with Annette. And Annette, thanks so much for joining us today. I will share screen. I did just pop your slides up to make it easy, so you can just sit back and relax and share what you'd like. So let me share her slides real quick because I did download them and open them.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to preface my conversation on my slides by one, of course, thanking you for the invitation to join you all. I love this group, and it's very similar to our statewide digital opportunity collaborative, which will be on that tomorrow. So I really appreciate all that you all are doing and how you govern this work there. Great to see Shauna, and I can't wait to hear from her, as well as our partner at Caterpillar, Sarah. But this is also very special to me because, well, I used to live in Charlotte many years ago and worked at Foundation for the Carolinas, and was kind of certainly supporting the community in my work as a program officer there. But I moved back here about probably 15 years ago, and now I have a daughter who just moved there this week and started her new job at a company there on South Boulevard. So I'm very excited about Charlotte now being my second home again, because I absolutely love the Queen City. So my daughter said earlier this week, yes, the Queen has arrived in the Queen City. So that is my tie to you all today. So thank you so much. She just graduated about 3 weeks ago from North Carolina A&T. So very excited for her and her new career. I think the first thing Pat Millen said is, can you figure out if her company can give us some devices? So it all fits. But thank you so much for that introduction, Bruce. Great to see all of you all. You can go to the next slide, because the truth of the matter is our mission has not changed. We, no matter what's going on at the national level, no matter how much people change the wording, we are still focused on the same people and the same work. We are still focused on driving economic and workforce development by enabling all North Carolinians, what you just said earlier, to fully participate in this digital economy. And we're doing that certainly in the various ways that we support all of the different organizations across the state, but making sure that every household and business has access to broadband, high-speed internet. We're still on that mission. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the new funding that we have. I know a lot of people have been wondering about that. Devices I just talked about, that's still our goal. We're still trying to reduce that. We know that these households still were challenged with that after Hurricane Helene. We had one number in mind. I think the number has increased when many households in Western North Carolina probably lost the use of their devices depending on how they were impacted by that storm. And of course, digital skills. So many of you are focused on that, and we are still focused on trying to get as much funding invested in digital literacy programs as we possibly can. And next slide. Same thing, same goal. We want all individuals and communities to have this information technology capacity. We know how important that is. It's just so important for civic life, lifelong learning, and all these central services. We're doing all these various things as well here at the state level to make sure that even all the websites at the state level have accessibility and that have 10 languages to folks, for every individual to be able to access the way they need to use state government services. So next slide, I'm really just gonna briefly mention about our broadband awards to date. Since early April, as of just a couple of months ago, we've been able to actually connect 144,000 homes and businesses in North Carolina with ARPA funds. So that's what we have been working from over the last 4 years, American Rescue Plan Act funds. And many of these projects will be completed at the end of the year, because if anyone on this call is, using ARPA funds for any programs, that they, must be spent by the end of the year. So our internet service providers are very busy making sure that they complete the projects. And so I wanted you all to know that we have a dashboard. So I don't know if many of you care about this, because I know that Mecklenburg County didn't necessarily adopt any ARPA funds or go for ARPA funds to help with connecting households. But if you're interested in any other county or anything in your region, you can go to this dashboard on our website so that you can select the county. You can find out anything about the awards, which service provider actually is building out there. And, so all of those details, what the completion status is. And that's why we have this public dashboard, because transparency is so important to us. And you'll see at the top of the page, I'm going to talk about this on another slide, but our Digital Opportunity Awards are also available on this dashboard. Go right ahead, Bruce. The BEAD update, broadband equity, access, and deployment. Many people have been wondering how North Carolina is, planning to spend the infrastructure awards. In December, NTIA did approve our state plan, which some of you may be aware that there were some modifications that were required by our plan, which involved us having to negotiate with our internet service providers to reduce the cost of that. And then in April, the revised plan was approved, and our award was unlocked at $319 million in BEAD funding to connect 93,000 more locations, certainly to, transform lives and communities. But just know that, of course, our BEAD plan is available. We have about 20 providers who will be working on that over the next 4 to 5 years to make sure we get all households or 93,000 locations connected, because they had to already know what locations were going to be connected in the plan before it was approved. But by September, we'll be in contract mode, just so y'all know that, because a lot of people say, when is this going to happen? And, I don't think I'm talking about it on here, but Of course, North Carolina has $1.1 billion waiting for guidance to be able to use for what we all have been calling non-deployment, and Shauna may talk about this, but at the national level right now it's called BEAD savings. And so we have a full-blown plan ready to attempt to be implemented based on the guidance, and we'll have to see what revision. And I hope that I'll be coming back to you all in a few months to talk about, yay, North Carolina can spend its money, $1.1 billion. Anyway, what we've accomplished together, I referenced Caterpillar's on here. I know they're one of our digital opportunity grantees, but over the last few years, you all may know that we did award $44 million from ARPA plans because we want people to adopt it. And so our former governor and even current Governor Stein all would say it's not good enough to deploy broadband if no one can use it. And so we did fund 74 organizations to do these things here. But the result so far is that 48,000 people have received computers through many of these organizations that we have awarded, as well as 76,000 individuals have received digital skills training. This is that dashboard again. I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that you can also see all of our digital opportunity awards on the dashboard. Obviously, it's searchable by counties. You all have many organizations that have been funded, and you're impacting the county as well as the region. There's several counties that have benefited from these awards, even just by virtue of organizations who may be based there in Charlotte or in that area. So it's searchable by location. You can see the amount that went into each one of them and what the focus of the program is. So it's very exciting. Love this. And thanks to everyone on here who may have been a part of any of this. Okay, just a quick talk about resources that we're always preaching about, because you can't just talk to people about what you're doing. You have to help them. You have to help them get access to stuff. So our next slide just talks about our tech resource finder. I'm sure some of you all on this call probably helped to populate it, but it is a searchable database of community resources that helps residents use broadband, be able to get access to public Wi-Fi, free ideally, computers to be able to use in their home or on loan, as well as digital skill classes and tech support. So currently inside of this very live searchable database is over 1,200 resources across the state. And we work with an organization that, of course, does, look at the data analytics of it. And so we know that since it has been launched, over 7,000 views. And so if y'all are interested in looking at it, you see we have the QR code on there. We're very digital, of course. So the views are on there. Feel free to scan it. And if you're ever trying to figure out where to find access to resources in your area, and someone can tell you that there's a place that's not referenced in here, please let us know, because we like to update it. Oh, thank you. Somebody's helping me out. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, next slide. I think this is my last slide, but we always like to brag about our partnerships that are helping us make an impact and helping us serve people and help to close the digital divide. And we have a partnership with the United Way of North Carolina and their 211 service. So we're very excited about this partnership. And for the last few years, they have had digital navigators, virtual digital navigators, really helping people to understand technology and get access and how to use it. So people can call 211 or that toll-free number there and, just get more information about where the resources are, connect them to the Tech Resource Finder, figure out where they can get free classes. They even can help people figure out how to establish an email. So they actually walk people through it. So here are some of the numbers and the impact that we've had through this program. 40,000 callers so far over the last few years. So, and some other things there. So really excited about this. This will be continuing. I don't think I have any slides on this, but some of you who may be on our collaborative meeting tomorrow will learn that we are partnering with the Department of Health and Human Service on the Rural Health Transformation Program. So we'll be implementing a digital health navigator program as well with the United Way of North Carolina. So we're very excited about that and continuing to make an impact. So I think I went very fast, and forgive me if I was speaking too fast, but these slides are available to you, and I'm happy to take any questions or connect with any of you all later. Thanks, Bruce.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Annette. Really appreciate that update. And Fast and Furious, lots to share, lots going on. But I think in particular, the one thing that jumps out to me is the digital health navigator. I think as you'll hear, as everyone will hear later, we think about work, life, and health as our three sort of focus areas. And I think there's just so much opportunity when it comes to
Yeah.
our community and its involvement in health and healthcare, right? Not just in the hospital, but health in general. So,
Thank
all
you.
right. One more time, thanks so much, Annette. Appreciate it. I know you've got a busy schedule, so feel free to jump when you need to. And we will hand it over now. So we gonna go state, and then we're gonna go national, and we're gonna go hear from Shauna. Shauna, would you like to kick us off? Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's such a really an honor to be here today. Like Bruce said, I've known him for a long time, and other folks at CDE, and the work that you all do in North Carolina is truly an inspiration across the country. It feels like you're always on the cutting edge and just ready to jump into new things. As Annette talked about all the great things that have been going on at the state level. And I can't wait to hear more about the digital opportunity operating system, do.OS. Sounds really cool. So, again, Annette, thank you for mentioning BEAD non-deployment funds, because that is something I am going to dig into very high level. But I'm here to talk about the top 3 digital opportunity policy things that NDIA is focused on right now. So those of you that don't know about NDIA, we're a national alliance. We have 2,000 affiliates across the country from 50 states and territories, as well as 47 tribal entities. And we really work to support community members and digital inclusion practitioners, as well as advance digital inclusion policies. So a lot of not a lot, all of the resources that we have on our webpage are created in collaboration and consultation with our affiliates. So they're all free and open to the public. Okay, so I'm going to talk about in a short, brief amount of time, so I'm also going to talk fast. Top 3 digital opportunity policy things, why advocacy, and then what you can do. So I'm going to give it to you all up front, so you're not like on the edge of your seats wondering. Number 1 is preserve the DEA, the Digital Equity Act funding, and urge Congress to reinstate the program. The second is BEAD non-deployment funds. And then the third thing we have our eye on is prioritizing affordability of broadband in Universal Service Fund. Affordability remains one of the top reasons people don't get online. Okay, so the first couple things I'll talk about fall under the broadband adoption funding category, or these are the digital inclusion programs and activities that we do that help people get online and stay online. So the Digital Equity Act programs, or the DEA, passed with bipartisan support in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the IIJA. The planning grant is complete. This is probably a review for most of you, but be patient with me. The planning grant was complete, and all states and territories have digital inclusion, digital equity, or digital opportunity plans. Just as the state capacity and the competitive grant program, we're getting ready to roll it out on May 8th of 2025. The president announced on Truth Social that the DE fund was unconstitutional, and the next day Commerce terminated awards to states, tribes, and the competitive grantees. In October of 2025, NDIA issued a lawsuit asking for the competitive grant program to be reinstated. And so as of today, that litigation is still proceeding. Funds remain frozen, and state and local programs have laid off staff. So nobody's gotten the money to be able to actually implement the plans that they spend so much time and energy developing. So, and the president is now proposing to officially execute this rescission in law. So what that means is a formal rescission package would need a vote. That would mean taking the funding, which even though the program was terminated, the funds still remained appropriated for the program. So what he's asking for now is a full rescission of funds. So we want to make sure policymakers stand strong and protest any inclusion of a rescission so the program can be restored as Congress intended. All right, next up, this is the one Annette teed up so kindly for me, the BEAD non-deployment funds, otherwise, as she said, being talked about as BEAD savings. So these are the funds that are left over after states close their internet gaps. So the BEAD program was also funded in the IIJA, and Congress designed BEAD so states could close internet access gaps, and with any remaining funds, known as non-deployment funds, support the adoption and use of the new and expanded BEAD funding networks, which includes digital inclusion programs and activities, as well as a few other things. So there's 5 things that were included in that. So in combination with the Digital Equity Act, the BEAD non-deployment funds work to address all barriers to broadband access. And it's really essential for the programs to be successful. They really supported each other. So NTIA issued new guidance on the BEAD program in a policy notice on June 6th of last year. They rescinded their prior approval for these funds that, you know, like it was approved before, and they've taken it back, and they have said they'll provide guidance later. We are still waiting for the guidance on how these funds can be used. So we've been working really hard over the past year to make sure policy makers hear our voice that this needs to include the broadband adoption funds to support all the work that we all do. Okay, a really quick spotlight. This is not in the top 3, but I had to mention it. A new bill has been proposed by Senators Lujan and Markey and Representative Matt Suey. It's called the Digital Opportunity Foundation Act. And this would create a new foundation that leverages both public and private investments to expand digital opportunity nationwide. And the best thing about this is that it wouldn't rely on appropriations for funding. So that means that Congress would not have to go in and contribute to the fund that way, because it would be both public and private investment. So it would be an ongoing, it wouldn't be as at risk for being terminated or canceled. Okay, affordable broadband. The other top 3 is the Universal Service Fund modernization. So the Universal Service Fund is the FCC manages and sets policy for it, and it's programs to support the achievement of the universal service principle, which basically means that all Americans should have access to communication service, as Congress outlined in the Communications Act of 1934. So the USF aims to get universal service for all with 4 programs. Lifeline, which is a discount to low-income household for telephone and internet. E-rate is a discounted internet access for schools and libraries. High-cost program subsidizes internet service providers in rural areas. And the rural healthcare discounts on internet service for rural healthcare providers. So the program is being looked at right now to determine if it actually meets the universal service goals. And here we want policymakers to know that any reform package needs to include a meaningful affordability mechanism. This could be a new federal benefit program similar to like ACP, if y'all remember the Affordability Connectivity Program, or something new that they come up with, or modernizing Lifeline, which we'll talk about in just a second. So we expect a framework for modernizing the program sometime this year. So any of these programs that impact the the work that you do and your community members that you serve, policymakers need to hear about. Okay, so Lifeline is the only federal broadband benefit program right now. It is administered by the FCC, but funded through the Universal Service Fund. So it gets kind of confusing up there. You need like a huge diagram to understand how it all works. But eligible customers can receive a monthly discount of $9.25 toward internet or voice or a bundled package. Affordable broadband advocates like NDIA and a lot of our partners are really working to improve and expand the Lifeline program to meet current needs. So a lot of folks, especially in rural areas, are paying between $50 and $100 a month for a basic internet plan. And so $9.25 isn't really making that affordable for people. So we're calling on modernizing this program. And the FCC is currently put out a request for comments. So NDIA and others have provided comments on what we think the program should look like. But stories around if you have experience with Lifeline or helping community members try to access Lifeline are really important for policymakers to hear right now, good or bad. Like if something's working well, they need to hear that too. Okay, spotlight. So some states are taking affordability on. I'm going to do this super fast, but I will share these slides so you can look at more if you want. New Mexico has created an affordability program from their state universal service fund, which is a $30 estimated monthly benefit, can be combined with a Lifeline and same eligibility as Lifeline. And then a low cost plan requirement has come out of New York with the Affordable Broadband Act, where they're required internet service providers to offer plans at $15 a month. So there are two ways states have addressed affordable broadband. Okay, so why advocacy? We all know the old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, this holds especially true in DC, where there are many voices competing for attention. So your community-based insights can shape the digital inclusion landscape of tomorrow, but only if you're at the table. So your local experiences can help shape federal, state, and local digital inclusion policies and funding opportunities through advocacy. So policymakers need to hear your stories about how your digital opportunity and digital inclusion programs impact their community members. And you can provide this information. Folks in DC just don't know about what's happening on the ground. And they need to know what's impacting their constituents' lives. So your advocacy is very powerful. But it can sometimes feel like it's taking forever and you have a meeting and it goes well and then nothing happens. So ongoing relationships are really important. There's no way to know how the work that you're doing now and the relationships that you're creating can impact the future. You could meet with a lower level staff member right now, and in 5 years or so, something in that meeting could have stuck with them that they then carry forward. So ongoing advocacy is essential. Also, now's kind of a time to prepare and let policymakers know where we want to be in the future when those opportunities arise, we can jump on them. So what can you do? We have the Digital Equity Act Month of Action. So raising awareness about the harms of canceling DEA, as well as letting policymakers, funders, and partners and the media know about all your digital inclusion programs. We had a social media storm, which you can still participate in, a virtual press conference, a Hill Week, and we're encouraging people to share their stories. And the slides have a link that we have great info on how to create a short video and advocate. Let your members of Congress know what is important to you and your community through digital opportunity work. We also will share all these resources. They're free. You can take the templates and use them however you would like. And that is where I'm going to end.
Thank you so much, Shauna. I appreciate it. Lots of information here. And just as a reminder, thank you for sharing these. You'll get these included in the we'll share these and make them available. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to say specifically when and how just yet. So it won't be me. So I don't want to claim something I'm not going to do. Thank you both, Annette and Shauna. And so, Sarah, we're going to have you take us home. We're a few minutes behind, but you're one of our local partners and really important to hear your voice. So take the time you need. Natalie is completely capable of trimming a few minutes, I'm sure, from her section. But I'm really excited to hear from you, Sarah, Caterpillar Ministries. Obviously, you all heard a recipient of some state money and a partner in Connect Tech. So, Sarah, thanks so much for joining us and making time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to share. For those of you that don't know, Caterpillar Ministries is a place-based nonprofit. We've been here 19 years in the Huntington Green mobile home community in Huntersville. It's a mobile home community of 350 mobile homes, 2,200 residents. We provide wraparound services. We are womb to tomb, cradle to grave. Whatever our neighbors need, we help support them in whatever way we can. As far as digital literacy, we did a survey of 105 of our families, and boy, was it eye-opening. 80% of our families, no device in their house other than their phone. 60% have internet, but it was costing way too much. And so what we have decided wasn't one of our core things that we had been working on, but felt the need of we have got to address this situation in many ways, shapes, and forms. And I think that our eye-opening part of it was COVID. When COVID hit and the kids were in the homes and mamas and daddies were still having to go to work, it was quite the challenge. So what we've done is, yes, with the help of the Center for Digital Equity and the grant, we have begun to get devices in homes. And so our goal is 150. We will be meeting that goal. We have them in about 50 homes right now. We're requiring them to do some training. And so that's where Connect Tech came in. We had over 40 of our neighbors have completed the Connect Tech training through North Star, 8-9 hours of digital skills, learning the internet basics and computer basics. We had mamas that were coming to these classes that didn't even know how to turn a laptop on. And now what is happening with those mamas is, woo, they get that laptop, it's like a new baby for them. And they are bringing them to English classes. They have started listening to podcasts. They have started getting into mental health counseling. They're doing telehealth appointments. It's just been mind-blowing to see the confidence and the excitement that has happened. And what happens is when this mama gains this confidence, then she brings it to her kids, and those kids are starting to build up their confidence as well. So our next goal with E2D and Mission Telecom is getting 150 hotspots and paying for a year of hotspot access for our families. So that we'll be doing that this summer. So we are just excited about what is happening. We know that this is transforming our families, especially our mamas, and just giving them the skills, beginning to give them the skills that they need to access appointments and workforce development and learn more. And so we are just extremely appreciative of all the support. We could not have done it, believe me, without the grant and without Center for Digital Equity, E2D, and Mission Telecom helping us as much as they have.
Wow. I don't know that I've ever seen more hearts and thumbs up, and I couldn't even see people's faces. It was just like a river of emojis in the positive way. And clearly, all three of our folks who shared today, but Sarah, and particularly you, your passion and your dedication just comes across. And so, thank you so much for representing those stories here in this space today. and continuing to sort of ground us all in the work we're doing and why we do it, and how building skills and confidence and giving folks agency to control the things they want to control is particularly important today. So again, thank you, Annette. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Sarah, for our partner updates. And my bad on the timing here for Natalie. So I trimmed off 10 minutes there, but we'll come collect on that later. But okay, so if you need, we're going to shift back into the strategic plan. So if you need to stretch your arms, if you need to, shake in your chair a little bit or drink some water and lock back in, as they say here. And again, this is no pressure by any means, but if you want to flip on your camera and see the faces, there is something about the social component here. Again, no pressure, just wanted to say it. That you can see folks, see everyone's reactions and whatnot is great. But I'm going to turn it over to Natalie here, and probably skip some of what I was going to say to transition here and just let you roll with it if that's cool.
Sounds great. I mean, what a perfect transition. Sarah, I think you touched on everything we're going to touch on, so I appreciate that very much without even knowing. Great to see everybody's faces as well. I was going to say, are you ready to do? But I need to tell you what we're going to do first. So let me share a little bit about that. I think you heard, if you were here at the beginning, you heard Bruce mention about the three-legged stool. And for those that are not familiar with it, the three-legged stool was really sort of a foundational way of defining digital opportunity. And it was really saying, look, these are the three foundations we need. We need access to hardware, we need our devices, we need access to affordable broadband, and we need digital literacy and skills. Well, most of you that have been here for a while remember our heavy conversations around that word literacy, digital literacy. Is it literacy? Should it be skills? Should it be something else? I'm not sure that these three things truly represent the experiences we've had on the ground and how we truly go about experiencing digital opportunity. And in today's world, right, where AI and everything keeps changing so rapidly, I think that has become even more hypercritical. How do we define digital opportunity? What makes those components? And then how do we ultimately measure success? And so that's truly at the basis of this whole discovery that we did to reimagine the next 3 years of this collective and regional approach. So what is do.OS? I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll briefly start to provide some links in the chat, and I welcome some conversation in the chat. I was going to do an intro Mentimeter, but I'm going to cut it down because my time is valuable here. So we'll just go straight into it. On our website, on our new strategic planning page website, you'll scroll, you'll have an intro, but ultimately you'll land on this page. And I hope everyone is seeing actually what I have on my background as well. So this talks about do.OS, which is a digital opportunity operating system. And it's basically comprised of 5 layers. Many of these layers might seem familiar to you before because we've talked about them, we've lived them. We just really never put them together into a system like this. So the first layer here, and I'll show you that you can actually play around with the image, or if you'd rather, you can actually just scroll up or down. So the first layer, the one thing I think we all just want to remember are through these core questions, and it is, can people get connected? Right? This is the layer I think most of us are inherently familiar with. This is the access, this is the devices, this is the internet, this is the affordability, this is the right device for the right thing, this is the right connectivity for the right level of need. The second layer is a human support. This is where librarians and digital navigators and the individuals that support in different services like CRCs and City 311, this is where that layer or those individuals truly shine. This is, do people have someone that they trust? And if you've been in this work for a while, you know that that word right there is gold. That is the number one thing people need in a digital space, but it's also the number one thing people need in our community, right? It's trust. And so do people have someone that they trust to help them navigate complexity? The third layer is skills and confidence. This is where we landed after talking about literacy and skills, right? Because at the end of the day, what we need our community to have is confidence, because technology and environments are going to shift constantly. But if we build that confidence, then our community is going to have what they need to be able to adapt. So the question here is, do people feel capable and confident using technology to achieve their goals? The fourth layer is systems. This is where we've got to work together with employers, right? Advocate health. We got to work together with workforce boards. We've got to work together with CMS to ensure that the applications and the things that they're building actually translate to community, that our community members can actually effectively navigate the systems that share that opportunity. So if, for example, there's an online form that you have to fill out for a Medicare service, right? Is our community ready, and can they effectively navigate that system to get and access that opportunity? And then the last layer, but I think one that is so critical and one that many of you consistently support and we're so thankful for, is really the optimization. And that is, we need to learn, we need to improve, we need to adapt, and then we need to put things out there that actually help our community in better ways. And that's part of what we're doing today, right? All these years, we've been building on it and we've been receiving the feedback. And based on that, we've landed in this do.OS operating system. So I'm going to go through it one more time, and I'm only going to say the questions that we're asking in each layer. And then I'm going to pull up a Mentimeter, a quick Mentimeter that you'll be able to access by QR code or going to menti.com and adding a code. Just to ask a little bit of an interactive question here. So layer 1, can people get connected? That's number 1 question. Layer 2, do people have someone they trust to help them navigate complexity? Layer 3, do people feel capable and confident using technology to achieve their goals? Level 4, can people effectively navigate the systems that shape opportunity? And then level 5, is the system learning, adapting, and improving? So with that, I really just want to gauge, first look, hearing a little bit about the operating system, which of these 5 layers that we just shared with you most closely reflect where your organization spends most of its energy? And again, if you are more comfortable using a chat, please feel free to put that in there. If not, you can actually take your phone and scan the QR code. And then if you're more comfortable, another way is menti.com on any web browser, and then putting in the code that you should be seeing on your screen. All right, we see about 3 of access layer, 3 of human support. Do we have anything on the chat? Let me see.
Not yet.
All right. 5 access layer. Okay, some of you that are saying access layer, I'm curious. I know I've seen E2D in here. What are other one? Who else is in the access layer? I'm just curious, and then I'll jump into the next thing.
Well, I would argue that Habitat is in our partnership with CDE and E2D, right? It's getting our homeowners to y'all to help them with access and frankly, human support.
100%. I love that, David. Yes. And I love that you included the human support, because I think you guys are right there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would even venture to sometimes to say systems too, as you guys help people navigate in that as well.
Well, you made me pick one, so.
That's true. All right. I'm curious, the learning systems. Who chose the learning systems, and then we'll move on.
Oh, layer 5 is written as learning systems on this slide, but optimization on the other slide. So Margot, to your question, layer 5 is the optimization, that the system is learning, that data is being shared, and that data is being used to improve the system.
I had chosen that one just because we've been working a lot with the state on like the system approach to getting devices from companies and trying to get that extra access. So I
Yeah,
chose access and learning system because of that.
Okay,
good
I
one. Yeah.
like that. All right, I'm going to keep us moving here because I know my time is limited. And so, all right, we went through the Digital Opportunity Operating System, do.OS. Now, what are we trying to do in this 3-year period? We're really trying to define, so further define each of these layers, create metrics around it. How do we ensure that we're meeting or that we're gauging where we're at with each of these layers? And then ultimately be able to create an index that identifies digital opportunity zones. And these are areas that are doing things that are really well. They're actually thriving. People are thriving. They're being able to get connected. They're being able to adapt to the different digital items. They're being able to adapt with the changes that happened. And so ultimately, that's our 3-year goal. So with that, I want to share with you how we are planned to get there. And this is only year one. So year one priorities are divided into 2 areas, impact and ecosystem. So think of impact as something more closely related directly to community, and then ecosystem, right? A larger scale regional perspective. So in the impact space, and I'm going to go over these briefly just for timing purposes, but there's strengthened community access. And so you heard from Sarah today, that is one of our core gaps that we identified, in that we had some organizations that were providing basic digital skilling, but perhaps they weren't able to provide the device, or perhaps they were actually stepping away, like Goodwill had to step away from that because they had other priorities, things like that. And so as a collective, we identified this gap, and that's where the Connect Tech program came about. It's really a holistic approach that takes all of these layers and truly brings them together into a program that includes the skilling and the device and the human support components to be able to make that happen. And so part one of our priorities for year one is to strengthen and to make that a clear, consistent front door for community members. Then we have launch workforce access and pathways. We're actually currently doing something like this with Advocate Health, or Atrium, where we are supporting their employees. And so this is where we could strengthen not only the human layer, but also the systems layer, where we would be able to support more corporations and more organizations to really support and think about their own employees. And so digital navigators and others would become sort of that human layer support for those opportunities. And so we're looking to, validate, is that the right approach, and then scale to other employer offerings. And then the third one here is advanced digital readiness, right? We want to make sure that we're doing a scan in our region. What are the programs related to AI? Who's looking at those standards and the governance, right? How do we ensure that we're incorporating the right level of AI readiness? And what does that look like for our community and our employer programs?
Quick shout out on those last 2. I think he had to drop, but Ken Rogerson from Duke University has graciously provided some tech policy fellows over the summer who will be working with us on those 2, doing some landscape analysis across the state to understand what AI certifications and programs. We're going to build a directory of all of those that exist across the state, and same on the digital navigator systems to help better understand, what's happening in these human support systems, like what kind of training there is for digital navigators, how is it professionalized, because that's going to be real important as we continue to try to maintain access to human support.
Thank you for that. And so then in the ecosystem area, we want to define shared frameworks. And so we've started to do that with many of you. We've collaborated and started to really say what kind of standards can we share across the board. And so we're looking to do a lot more of that tied directly to these layers of the operating system. we're looking to establish some regional standards. And so from a connectivity and device, so E2D, this is where we will be working closely with you to say, okay, how do we tie the standards that are out there as it relates to devices to ensure that they're tied to the basic uses and needs, right? Around programs like Connect Tech, around AI, around the other different types of needs, and the same for connectivity. One of the things that we heard through the stakeholder interviews was around satellite. We talk a lot about broadband, we talk a lot about all these other internet opportunities, but we haven't really done a full study on the satellite possibilities or affordability. And so we're going to start to look at that as well. And then the last one here is building cross-sector coalitions. And so Bruce alluded to this earlier. We're really looking to ensure that we work heavily in the next year to do the intersection of work, health, and life. And so all of our programs components, and as well as our regional reach, and the intent of this operating system is really to intersect and focus on those three components: health, life, and work.
And one note on that, this is very sharing, and something we've applied for just for awareness. We have applied to lead the strategic planning process for the South Carolina Digital Resource Alliance. We have the North Carolina Digital Opportunity Collaborative, I think is the current name, and they have posted an RFP to do a strategic planning process, and we have applied to do that to help bring some of this framework along with obviously the expertise they have down there to grow that coalition wider, and particularly as we think about where people live, work, and play, particularly in Charlotte, right? We're you could live in South Carolina and work in North Carolina, and so taking a more regional approach, as you heard me mention earlier.
All right. So I'm gonna move into another item where we've optimized or improved. A few years back, we had some great feedback that as we provided a strategic plan, we should also have a shorter PDF version that people could easily share out. And so we've done that again. This time, our strategic plan is digital first, but we did include this PDF version. And so when we ask for your comment, we'll send an email after this meeting. And when we ask for your comments, you will have a direct link to this PDF to just make it easier. The PDF does talk about the do.OS components. It also talks about our pillars. We focus on the impact and ecosystem because those are the ones that are more outward facing. The growth is more of our internal objectives and key results, and what we will focus on internally. And then it then includes specifically more details for those that want to get more into the details of our objectives and key results for the year one. It does also include year 2 and 3 objectives. We don't have or haven't finalized the key results for that because, as you know, we co-create our key results every year with all of you. And so we plan to do that, but we did want to ensure that we had sort of the journey or roadmap all the way to year 3. So with that being said, the last component here that I want to share, and then I'll do one final Mentimeter and then open it up, hopefully for more of a dialogue, is around we typically would have what we call a RACI chart. And it's basically a way for us to identify who's responsible, who's accountable in our ecosystem, who's really doing this work with us, and who might be more of a supportive or informed or something like that. And so this year we have done it the same way with a slightly different flair. We've actually, because it's digital first, we actually have built it into our website, and we've put in the logos or represented those that are responsible. And that's because those responsible within our ecosystem are really out here doing the work with us. And so we wanted to ensure, one, to highlight those that are doing the work with us, and two, to ensure that we sort of indicated that we're in this together as we move into this strategy. So with that being said, if you don't see yourself and you feel like you are responsible or you want to be part of it, there is a button available where you can click, do a short form, and let us know that you'd like to be added on here, and then we could have a conversation and go from there. underneath that, you can click, and if you want to see who else is involved in this, who's accountable, who is supporting this layer, or who is consulted or informed, you can also do that by clicking that. And so with that, I am going to go back to our Mentimeter and do the last Mentimeter before we open it up. And so again, feel free to grab your phone and scan the QR code, or if you left it open, you should see it. But I'd love to hear a little bit about who do you think is missing from the do.OS or Digital Opportunity Operating System. And so I'm going to go back to this and just sort of give you a little bit of a brief overview. So in Axis, we have E2D, Cramden, Human IT, PCs for People, right? And we have several of the internet service providers. In the human support layer, we have the library, 311, 211, the county, and our digital navigators. In skills and confidence, we have several of our friends, and we may be missing some. So like Caterpillar, we may want to add you in here. We have Goodwill, Urban League, and the library, Aparo, Per Scholas, the Coalition, Camino, which I saw somebody from Camino on. And then in our systems layer, we have Atrium and Novon and CMS and Charlotte Works and Cabarrus County, because we're doing some work with Gaston, Cabarrus, and Union County, as well as the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. So I'll go back here now to our, who do you think is missing? Who do we not have at the table? Do you know anyone that should be part of these conversations? Age-friendly Mecklenburg. Okay, that's great. Who wrote that, by the way?
Julie. Thanks, Julie.
Oh, nice. All right, well, as you guys think of some more, we are open to that. Oh, Community Matters Cafe, yeah. Boat Riders. I don't know that I'm familiar. Bruce, are you familiar with Boat Riders?
I'm not, no.
Okay, we'll have to learn more. All right, as you think of some more, let us know. I'm gonna pause and stop sharing my screen here shortly and really open it for conversation. Is there any questions that you have? Anything we can answer? Noah, I see that you've joined. Thank you. We did give you a shout out earlier for all your support and leadership through this process.
We had fireworks and a band. You missed it. I'm sorry.
I keep showing up late to stuff. Sorry about that. I got caught up with a few things.
I'm gonna just, if I may, just take a moment here. I think you heard this, but I just think in closing out is what you be the judge of this, of course, right? I think what we have seen in the reflection of that process that I laid out in that slide and in conversations at the national level, statewide and local, is there was this sort of organization of the ecosystem in the way that at least we are presenting it to you today that we felt was missing. And I know that some of you perhaps are more tactical or more, on the ground. And so like, what does this mean for me, right? In some context. And so we feel our role at the CDE is to help organize that ecosystem around a way that can make sense so that people can see themselves in this work. Well, what is this digital opportunity and where do I show up? And if we can start to get that more clearly, I think particularly in that systems layer, that's oftentimes when we think about who benefits most, first and foremost, the residents we all care about and serve benefit most. We also all know that the systems benefit. If somebody can go to a telehealth appointment instead of showing up in the emergency room, the insurance company and the hospital financially benefit from that. If somebody is more prepared for a job in our community from one of these companies that's moving here that we hear about every day, that company benefits from that. And so we need to make sure that those systems are tied to this work, not only for the reasons that they can make sure and validate that their products and services fit into the community, but also so that all of you who are embedded in community and train residents can align that training and make sure that we're supporting residents in the right way. And so, some of this is is theory and some of it is the scientific model, I suppose, right? Where we ask the questions and then go validate, which is why this is a 3-year plan. But we have historically seen this happen in action, but without the sort of container that we've shared with you today. And so we hope that the container provides a way to talk about it in your own organization, then with funders to say, well, this is what I do, and this is how it matters on this continuum. And then particularly, the more we get those systems layers to show up in this dialogue and conversation, which we're going to do going forward in the way we're structuring the community council, they also benefit, which means they also have a responsibility. And that responsibility can often come in the form of an investment in the work that y'all are doing. And so that's just a little closing note to kind of at least hopefully try to wrap it up a little bit. But as Natalie said, love to hear more from y'all on initial reactions. Shay, I'm gonna put you on the spot because I got my square. I see you smiling there. Anything that you want to share, Shay? What do you think?
I don't think I have any big surprises to share. Just, impressive presentation. I love the holistic nature of it. And quite frankly, I love the strategic approach and that we're doing the process of asking the questions and evaluating before we're making the decisions in this conversation. I really like the partnership structure that you're looking at and created. It makes the most sense. It's not rebuilding the wheel. You're going where people really are, right? Or you're at least getting yourself close enough to where they could be. Like you're bringing them to a good place, right?
Yeah.
They can get to the library to access all these things, and that's wonderful. So yeah, overall, I'm super impressed. That's why I'm here, and looking forward to how we can continue to engage and expand it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your
Implement.
implement. Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
the big word, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Implementation.
Yeah, it's a
But
bug. Yeah.
I've got a lot of parallel things going on that make me excited to hear about what you guys are doing. So great. I'm so glad I made it.
Awesome.
I love
Eric
what
Franzen. Oh, sorry. No, we're
no, I
gonna
was gonna say Carola said something in the chat that I thought was really great. She said CDE is positioning yourself as the glue to bring partners together for digital equity in this region. Great job.
appreciate that. And Eric Franzen, I know you always have something thoughtful to share, and even if it is a critique, I know that you'll give it to us straight. So what are you thinking?
I don't know that I have a critique. I actually really like that model. I just sent a note to Natalie saying, layers 2 and 3. I mean, the things that I'm really interested in. I mean, that personal connection, the human experience is very, I think, and the confidence part of it. Working with people in the library, working, a check tutor and a teach, and I'd work with people. I think that that's a big part of people's ability. And it kind of ties to something you were saying earlier, Bruce, when you were saying that, we're moving out of, you used that three-legged stool, metaphor, and you said kind of moving out of that. I think that's true. It's trying to get into where we provide confidence and some more kind of social, connectivity and constructivism, with people to be able to, to feel good about what they're doing in the work. So I really like that model, how you, because it is difficult to put together what, learning, skilling. I know we went through all those words. I mean, and we were, doing our subgroups and everything. And it is hard to kind of get our brains around, what that really means in terms of, the abilities or capabilities of people to be able to work. So I really like that. So no critique. And I like what you all are doing.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Margot, I love it. I didn't think the lazy boy .os wasn't going to work for this, but I like where you're going. We don't have to burn the stool down. It's a
Like the
recliner
nice
now. I love it.
recliner.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I don't know if it came, I mean, you mentioned it, Natalie, but I don't know, and we didn't have a slide for it or whatnot, but one of the goals, and you'll see it in the PDF in the key results, but one of the goals is to create an index off of this so that each of those layers has a measurement and then a region would have an index. And the way to really quickly think about it, particularly all those of us being here in North Carolina, is the health score at the restaurant. You walk into the restaurant, you see the health score, you make a determination on whether or not you're going to eat there, what that means, or how risky you feel, or um, and that doesn't exist for a community to understand what kind of digital opportunity is in this community, right? And so our goal is to turn that do.OS, have an index that supports it, so that we can understand based off of measurement that we're still working on, right? That's a little bit of the future state here to understand all the different data points across those layers, where an index score would be produced. And so just to kind of fill in some more detail there, but um, bank branches, yeah, good idea. Some financial literacy too, Shay.
That was a last minute ad, but recently I've noticed the trend of banks, the local banks, including like a community room, right? And so that interaction that they have daily to encourage that digital literacy piece and know that here where you're already coming is another location, right? Where you're safe, where you already have trust, and we're expanding our what we provide, the community by having that relationship, right? That's public and advertised, quite frankly, right? If you walk in a branch and then know that they have some type of relationship with the CDE, or you can find out information about digital literacy, et cetera, I think would be very valuable.
That's fantastic. I mean, we have several of these partners, but the one that stands out that is akin to that would be with the county and having office hours, our digital navigator team having office hours at the community resource centers in the same fashion, right? They have space. They have clients who are going through different services. And so having that support there has been a real key. So I know we're coming up here on time, and so I want to make sure anyone else have any final thoughts. If you've, I know some folks like wait till the end to share. So now's your moment. Okay, one more person I'm going to put on the spot because I know she'll give us something good. But Ashley, you've obviously been in this work. You're a key partner of ours. You guys are clearly a responsible party on access and leading. Also have grown regionally and across the state. Would love to hear again, just putting you on the spot. Any initial reactions or thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love it how you guys have split it up between like who's responsible for the different pieces. I know we're excited to continue to partner and grow with you guys as we have started to expand across the state more and work closer with North Carolina as a whole. So I'm just excited and I really like what you guys did with that.
Awesome, cool. Thank you.
All
Okay,
right. So before we
Natalie.
close, yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, just a reminder that, and we'll put the link in the chat, but we're also going to send an email right after this. Please, you share it with your networks. This is the time for people to comment. We have 2 weeks where we're leaving it open. It's a form. Nothing's required, but you can put as much as you want for each of the objectives. We really want people to give us feedback before we start to plan our year out and start to look at implementation. And so we truly ask for your support with that. Again, yourselves, share it with your networks. The more people that we get involved in this part of the process, which is the open common period, the better off we'll land, right? The more community needs we'll get right. And so it's just super critical. So I just wanted to leave with that and say, are you ready to do? Let's do this, right? Together.
Appreciate that, Natalie. Thank you so much. And just to localize this for all of you, right? Think about the conversations that are happening in our community right now. We have raging conversations about 150-day moratorium on data centers, right? And this is an opportunity for us to, maybe we're not experts in data centers, but we understand that those are part of the infrastructure that supports people's ability to get online. And it's a great opportunity for us to show up in that space and remind folks. I mean, not that we have to like you can take an opinion on whatever side you want to on data centers. That's obviously fine, but acknowledging this is a great time for us to sort of elevate the idea that, okay, while you're talking about that, let's not forget that, you know, people still need to have confidence and skills to take advantage of all that's coming our way, and the parallel conversation that I know we're all struggling with or thriving in. And you could use this for your comments as generative AI, right? You might take the feedback, load it into your chat GPT and spit out your prompts, and then I have a guess on how many comments are going to come in with Gen AI attached. But again, these are all things that are relevant to the work we do. So okay, with that,
Bruce, we have somebody who raised their
oh
hand.
yeah, Patricia. Hey, what's up, Patricia? You want to close us out here?
Hi,
Hi
thank
there.
you.
Absolutely.
I listened and I was encouraged, and I won't say that much about myself now, except for to say that I just graduated with a master's degree. So I'm the kind of student struck with a brain dead kind of situation. But I will say what I have learned is that my professor who teaches master classes for librarians, very interested. He was very interested in wanting to get engaged with you guys. Um, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity. They have all kinds of access, and these students are looking for projects. Okay, they're looking for ways to engage, and there's just an opportunity, I think, that's untapped.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely would love to connect. I know you've mentioned him before in our conversations, and I know we had invited him today, but he couldn't, or they couldn't make it, correct?
That would be correct. I think
Okay.
he couldn't make it because I did invite him, I believe, for this
Yeah.
one, but I will check again because he is excited. He wants to engage with you guys.
Awesome. Well, make sure you make sure he's like, oh, you missed it, because then he'll be
Okay.
even more excited. Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Okay, Natalie, anything else? You good? Team, Meredith, good. Thumbs up. Ashley, good. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for making time on your Thursday. This is obviously a time we hold and will continue to hold. Really thankful for all your showing up, for listening. And now a little bit of homework, obviously, the comment period as we move forward, and you'll have that in your inbox shortly. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your June. Thanks so much.
Thanks, you guys.